Hello, 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 hello. It's time for a reading from me, from the spirits and all of the bounty, or something, something. Okay, hey everyone. I had a no call, no show for my appointment, which is great. That means I get to be here with y'all and we can do a collective reading. I'm still working on my space here. It looks like give me a second, sorry. All right, so think of your questions. Sunday Dunday. So today, I've done like Sunday, like one card and done, one pull and done. I may or may not do this. Today I'm using it. We always do Sunday Fun Day, right? But Sundays are sacred days, and right now a lot of things need to die in this world, in ourselves, including anti-blackness, including white supremacy, including indigenous erasure. A lot of shit's got to die. So this is going to be Sunday Dunday, and this reading is intended to help us all be clear as fuck as to what needs to die in us for the betterment of the world. Okay? All right. So I heard an unfortunate story from my indigenous cousin that an indigenous elder invited her to a thing and this indigenous elder son was also killed by a police officer, and invited her to invite community members, and she in turn, an indigenous woman, invited indigenous and black women to come with our medicines. And this elder was like, didn't want Black Lives Matter people there because Black Lives Matter has been taking up all the space. And it's just really unfortunate how fucking anti-black that is. And this is part of the problem, right? And I also feel the pain as an indigenous person, a mixed blood indigenous and European person who has felt indigenously erased my whole life because of my phenotype, because of my grandparents, because of my very indigenous grandmother, like not wanting to be Indian, and like I swear she prayed me huerita. Anyways, like feeling the pain of indigenous erasure, and how that also happens in black bodies who very muchly so have indigenous blood, and how indigenous erasure is something that affects all people with any amount of indigenous blood, and especially full-blood indigenous people who are relegated to these horrible reservations, who are taken away from all of their old ways and given the bottom of the barrel of these new colonized ways. It's fucking fucked up, and it's nuanced, and it's painful, and it's not okay, and anti-blackness isn't okay. And I learned recently from my beautiful sister goddess Wonder Human Lady Speech, which I kind of knew, but like the way she put it, I was like, wow, I didn't know that when post-slavery and even during slavery, the African peoples befriended the indigenous peoples, and there was like a whole of indigenous and Africans in this American diaspora, and a lot of this happened in like the Louisiana South, and that's where you get like the Creole people with there's whole histories of the ways the peoples mixed. But as soon as the white aristocracy, if you will, got wind of that, they started moving into like bribing the indigenous people out of helping the black people around out of slavery, after slavery. They didn't want indigenous and black to unite because of power. So there has been an insidious, very pointed, very fucking purposeful dividing of indigenous and black people for a really long time. In this world, in the United States of America, for the purpose of white supremacy. Because if there's a whole lot of descendants of slavery and a whole lot of descendants of genocide, and we were to all be like, yo, nah, fuck this, like is kind of happening right now, the white supremacist, cis, hetero, etc., caca patriarchy wouldn't have any power, right? So there is power in them dividing us. So I just want to call that out and point that out, that yes, Black Lives Matter and the uprisings are Black centered, and rightly so, by virtue of everything that's been going on. And there's a whole problem with missing and murdered Indigenous women, right? There's a whole problem with Indigenous young people getting murdered by the police. There's a whole problem with America, right? I watched this thing the other day. It's like, of course that shit's offensive to Native Americans. You know what else is offensive to Native Americans? America. Yeah, and I laughed my ass off because it's like, I've always been like, fuck America, I hate America. I'm not just like this. I'm native here. This is my place. This is Turtle Island. This isn't America to me. Like, fuck your America, right? I get all kinds of contention from that in all kinds of directions, and I don't really care. But I digress. My point is that and I know a bunch of people are saying this, but like, none of us are free until we're all free. Okay, so as Indigenous people who are experiencing Indigenous erasure, who are experiencing like the pain of colonialism, the pain of having us all taken away from our actual homelands and put on like the most dry desert land in a reservation, or not even having a connection to your homeland because you're so assimilated. Yes, that is real true and real painful. And Black Lives Matter. And anti-Blackness is a thing. And as Indigenous people, if we are not holding space with Black Lives Matter, then we are letting the oppressor win. Okay, we need to stand together, all together, so that we can, and this is not just about a Black and a brown thing, this is also about a white thing. Like, we all need to face the fact that white supremacist colonialism is a thing that affects us all today, including white people, and that we all need to see it and heal it together, and fighting each other is not helpful. So I'm gonna address another thing. In Denver specifically, and if any of y'all are listening, yes, I'm talking about it, there's like 8 different peoples organizing for Black Lives Matter. And what I hear is that everybody's kind of like not talking to each other. Or I don't know. So now I'm feeling like, who am I to speak on any of this, because I am not Black. And I just know, because my mom was in the civil rights movement with COINTELPRO, the more we are divided in our movements, the less we can accomplish. Okay, so I'm really asking for all of us who are fighting for freedom right now to talk to each other, to empathize with each other, to realize that we've all been fucked by white supremacy, and that the Black Lives Matter movement is this beautiful connection of ability to rise for all people. And if we're gonna get stuck in this, but they're more oppressed than me, and my people are more oppressed, and how come nobody's paying attention to this? Like, that is division, and that is not moving toward the connection and the connective truth and the connected collective liberation that we all seek. I hope that makes sense to you. So I encourage all of us brown people, call out your anti-Black elders too. It's not just the white supremacist uncle for the white people that are having issues, okay? And like, I know from personal fact, like my grandmother, my grandparents who were brown as fuck, were anti-Black because they wanted to be more white, because they didn't want to be oppressed, because white people were oppressing everybody. And it's fucked up, and we have to face that shit. Okay, and we have to undo all of that old shit in our own DNA memory so that we can all heal together. All right? Oh, I can't even fucking speak, y'all. Fuck white supremacy. Ugh. Pinches cabrones. Just gonna shuffle my cards now. I'm just gonna shuffle my cards. So we're gonna ask the cards, how the fuck do we heal? Yeah. Y'all don't have any questions? Ask the cards, y'all. I don't know shit. I'm just the vessel. Ooh! Okay. Page of Wands. Jumped right out. Page of Wands. Wands are about our inspiration. These pages are all about like the questioner, the asker. So I feel like a lot of us, especially because these are times that we've never been in, especially because a lot of our own shit's coming up. Literally all of our anti-blackness is up in our faces, and this isn't just anti-blackness that exists in whites, or anti-blackness that exists in browns, or anti-blackness that exists in mixed. It's also anti-blackness that exists in black people themselves because of slavery, because the white supremacist patriarchy put it there on purpose. Okay, just like there's anti-indigenousness that exists in everybody because the white supremacist patriarchy put it there on purpose. So as stuff is coming up, as like our colorism is coming up, as our questioning of who has the right to feel what way, who has the right to do what things, what is the underlying teaching behind that? Okay, like who taught us what, when, how come? Did that come from a grandparent? What were their circumstances? That come from a great grandparent? Did that come from the general that scalped your great grandmother? You know, there's reasons why we have these belief systems. So as we're unlocking and unfurling all of this, we need to be willing to stand alone and look toward the liberation we seek. And this isn't just like this idea of revolution, collective liberation. This is the idea of being liberated ourselves from the limiting belief systems of white supremacy, of the lack mentality, of, oh, I'm brown, I don't deserve that, or of there's no way out, there's no better way, how are we going to do this with policy, etc. This is an invitation to think bigger. It came up in one of my stewardship courses. I believe it was Asia Dorsey, who's an amazing black medicine woman, dear friend, who does dream work in the Mexica tradition, does dream work in her own meandering. She's also a fermentation queen goddess. And I absolutely love her. She's one of the people I'm most fangirl on. I'm not going to lie about that. Her name is Asia Dorsey. Follow her, Bones, Bugs, and Botany. She's such a futurist and such an amazing human. And we were talking about, I don't know, we talk about so much stuff in that class, but basically it came up that you have to imagine something first, right? So even if you look at these big old monuments, this monumental architecture that also exists in the Aztec Empire, that also exists in Giza with the pyramids, that also exists in fucking Washington, D.C., monumental architecture is made to subvert and subdue the public into submitting to the monument. I'm an anthropologist. I learned that at Stanford from my anthropology degree. There's a reason behind monumental architecture. So we have all been given these buildings, given these statues, given this structure, but guess what? It had to exist in someone's mind first. There had to be blueprints for it first. So in that class, Asia pointed out that we are all existing in the imaginations of white men. Think about that. Let that sink in for a minute. We are all existing in the imaginations of white men. They thought this shit up. You think these white men up at the top are not on some fucking magician shit? I'm gonna leave that there for y'all to think about it. But if we're all existing in the imagination of white men, if the prison industrial complex comes out of the imagination of white men, if the medical industrial complex comes out of the imagination of white men, if the school to prison pipeline comes out of the imagination of white men, if slavery and genocide came out of the imagination of white men, how can we now imagine something different and enact it? That's what this card is. Okay, Page of Wands. How can we imagine something different and enact it? I see you, Courtney. I didn't realize you moved. It's nice to see you. Sending love to your whole family from me. All right. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like that might be the only card that we need today. Just a reminder, let's see. Respect your elders. I think you're giving them way too much power and control of your spiritual growth. All his self. All his self, all his self. I don't know what she means by that. Can you elaborate, please? Yeah. I mean, I just say what comes through. It's okay for y'all to disagree. I hope that you think about it. You know, like this. One of the things, my mom's a history teacher. She's super Chicana to power too, but she reminded me growing up because I was always being all, nah, I don't think this. I don't think this. I don't think that. Right. Is that at least in America, so far, say, you know, let's hope, keep it like that. We have free speech. Like, I could be straight up in another country. This is not able for us to like even speak on this, right? So soak it up now and question now and think critically now and use the internet to share your voices now, etc. Right? Like, it is time now to use what you have to ask the questions, to question everything, to come to your own conclusions. Like, if any of y'all take anything I say and hold it as gospel, like, that's questionable to me, honestly, because y'all should be looking at a lot of different things and questioning all of it. Yeah. All is self, is not his. Yeah. The structures that exist right now that are causing the problems are from the imaginations of white men. So there are certain things that are under our control, like how we react to things, and now with the information we have to work with now and within our means now, how we go forth, right? Like this morning I had some beets in the fridge and some celery and a green chili, and that's what I cooked. I couldn't cook a tomato because I didn't have a tomato, right? It's just very simple. It is what it is, right? So I'm not giving away power. I'm just honoring what the fuck exists. And right now we are all living in the imaginations of white men as far as the system goes, right? I didn't create the motherfucking prison industrial complex. Y'all know? Y'all feel me? Y'all feel me? Am I ridiculous? We do live in an imagined community. Well said. Truth. Thank you, Thimi. Of course. Of course. Exactly, says Diana. What's up, Olivia? Hi, Ashley. Mash me, I love you. I miss you. I missed you at the Talis reunion. I miss you still. I'm gonna smash you. That doesn't sound right. Mash me. Oh, college jokes. White people know we carry guilt, and white people are scared shitless that POC will want revenge, not equality. Thank you for speaking that, Tina. That's really true. So if you're a white person, you have to face your fear of that and kind of like come to terms with it, you know? If you're present with what you feel, if you're present with the sins of your ancestors, you know, I have no answers for the future, but I just know that it's scary times, and we need to just be real with what is. You can't run away from it, clearly. Look at what's happening. Look what's happening in the world. Thank you, Tina. Many blessings and miss you. Hi, Primo. Ninoshka. All the love. Okay. Respect our elders, says white men. Really? Yes. I'm gonna look you up later, and I may or may not spend more time. Labian quiz. Hello. Thanks for the claps. Love to you too, Jasmine. Respect our elders. Would you feel more comfortable placing white men with the devil? Hello, I am Shayla Montero. I saw you do your thing and I was gotten chills, and thank you for your medicine. Thank you. Okay, let's do another card for our imaginative potentials. Yes? Jess, I love you too, compa. Hi. Hi. Oh, Steph is there. Hi, Steph. I'm sending you blessings. I miss you. Miss you. Okay, another card. Just so y'all know, I'm not trying to be a hater. I fuck with people who want to do their work. I fuck with people willing to do the work. And if you're not willing to do the work, then maybe you want to unfollow me, because I'm going to call you out every time. I'm going to call myself out every time. I actually have a story. No, I'm not going to tell you. You guys might hear that story later, if you're lucky, because it involves me having sex. If you're lucky. Ooh. Okay. This is just what we were talking about earlier. 5 of Wands. This is bunch of people fighting, and I was cracking up. I picked this one the other day. Some have masks, some don't. It's like the more we find contention with each other, especially those of us who like are quote unquote the people, those of us who aren't the 1%, those of us who are on the front lines, those of us who are trying to do this work to heal collectively, the more we battle with each other, the less power we're gonna have. Period. Okay, so that's why like I encourage all peoples who feel called to move in the direction of healing and move in the direction of justice, to deal with whatever internal you have that's keeping you from being in a harmonious collective with other people working toward the same outcomes as you. Hi, Yuda. How about one for divine forgiveness and healing? Yay. What are you saying, Chris Kindle, about one for oh, you want the card? Okay, a card. Oh, look. Ha ha! Listen to Black women. That's what this says. That's what God said. That's for divine oneness and healing. Look at all those gifts. So there's been a lot going on, right? About not, how do I put this? Creator, give me good words. Black women have been offering to this society over and over and over again in a way that is not reciprocal, in a way that has been torn from them. I feel called. Thank you, Great Spirit, for the lives of Lucy, Betsy, and Anarka. Those are the slave women that Marion Fuckface J. Sims, father of OBGYN, experimented on without anesthesia to create OBGYN. This is why I don't fuck with OBGYN. We need to honor what Black women have given to this society. And that's like shutting yourself down and realizing that you don't know as much as you thought you did about anything because you didn't know about Black women. Now, Black women are here leading this and teaching more so than Black men. All Black people are, but Black women got the medicine you need right now. And they are offering gems. Look at these gifts. This is 6 of Pentacles. 6 is about foundation. 6 is about a dance. 6 is about the work in motion that creates the foundation to create the movement where we're going, right? So their gifts, and look at they're offering, these are brown people, lighter skin, one's brown and one's white. This is the brown women and white women being like, okay, how do I help the situation right now? Divineness and oneness is going to come from allowing the uplifting of what Black women came here to offer. And this is, sorry, I'm still trying to fight my ego, so I'll make sure that I'm not being some kind of way, but I'm just going to go for it, and please feel free to correct me and check me. I'm all for it. I'm here to help the collective heal, so I'm just being a messenger. They're offering gifts. This is also to say that right now Black women are choosing to offer their gifts because it's necessary, but they don't got to give you shit, okay? This is us sitting down literally and offering ourselves to the vision of Black women and offering ourselves in reciprocity of Black women's labor, spiritually, emotionally, physically, but more just giving ourselves the opportunity to listen and reciprocate for the knowledge there. I'm also feeling this kind of churning that's happening that we won't know which way to go until we listen to Black women. And what's coming through is ancestrally that the spiritual The only word coming is power, but it's more than power. The spiritual wherewithal, the spiritual, it's like a diamond. Okay, so if you look at the history of blackness in America, at the history of slavery, at the post-slavery history of black women, and the fact the granny midwives, if you look at all of this, it's like there's been this, these black women have been like under pressure or oppression in such in such a tangible way under American white supremacy for so long that they are literally like the diamonds of the earth. And there's this effervescence, this luminescence, this strength, in a way that is it cuts through anything and everything, and is the precipice, is the presentation, is the place where we all are going to like they're the diamond that is the reflection for everything that we could offer at this point. So once again, Great Spirit, I ask that my words land on ears that can help me be a better human and the world be better. So please take what you will from this card, and literally like there's a, we all just have to check our anti-blackness. Like the black woman is God. The black woman is Queen God, King God. Ashe. Okay, let's see what else we got. That's perfect pronunciation, and yes, a card. COVID will end. Don't give your power to COVID. Peace and blessings, Yuda. What was in air? Okay, reading. Damn, says Shayla. Oof, yes. In cardiology, the 6 represents the resolving of financial karma. Ooh, world, the alpha and the omega. Hey, Yuda. I'm so happy to see you. I love your son and all he posts. He's such a beautiful human. Tell him I love him. Okay. What are your thoughts on Native Indigenous communities being hit so hard by COVID-19? Oh, that's a good question. Psh. COVID-19 is here's another card. Look at Yuda. 6 of Wands, another black woman. Fucking leading the way, y'all. Yes. Ah, that's so beautiful. On the white horse. Do what she says. I love that. Okay, COVID and indigenous communities and black communities, right? Mm-hmm. 6 of Wands. Okay. And this one just jumped out, the Page of Swords. So we had the Page of Wands and the Page of Swords. And once again, like, there's some brown girls being like, okay, how do I start? What do I do? You got to start somewhere, and you have to honor the beginning, honor being the fool, honor being the baby in this process. You can't be a queen right now. Okay. And that's okay. You'll get your time. Higher purpose, John the Baptist. Oh, I want to hear more about that. Woo, this is fun. Another product of the imagination of white men, says Chris about COVID. So from a healthcare practitioner standpoint, in a Chinese medicine view of immunology, of Wei Qi, of defensive Qi, there's a bunch of different Qis that make up the internal uprightness, or like fuerza, strength, the internalness, as well as like practices that tonify your Wei Qi or defensive Qi, which is like stands like a little bit away outside your body, which is like if you're not looking straight and there's a branch about to hit you in the eye, your hand will go like that before the branch hits you. That's the Wei Qi. That's like your defensive Qi, right? So if you look at a society that has been ripped away from our plant ancestors, ripped away from our customs, our ceremonies, taken from our land, taken from our food customs, our actual medicinal food, and given commodity food that's made of shit that the white supremacist patriarchy wants to feed you. I also want to make sure, just because you're white doesn't mean you're down for the white supremacist patriarchy, but the white supremacist patriarchy is the tool of oppression in America. Okay, so don't get it twisted that being against white supremacy is being anti-white. That's different. Okay. Hey there, boy Prada. So from a Chinese medicine perspective, we have this natural ability to fend off internal or external invaders by virtue of how strong our Wei Qi is, our defensive Qi, and how strong what we call the Zheng Qi, and the character for Zheng looks like something standing straight up. It's the upright Qi. Okay, so the upright Qi basically means like your internal fuerza, your internal forces, your internal ability to maintain your you-ness. Okay, this is most in danger in this society toward marginalized peoples, black and brown indigenous bodies, because there's no resources. Because you're forced to eat some shit that is not ancestral to you and that is actually poison, that has hydrogenated oils, etc. in it. So in my opinion, as a healthcare practitioner, of course, marginalized peoples are going to be more susceptible to any kind of endemic illness based on the fact that there is low Zheng Qi and low Wei Qi because of what we are not eating, because of alcoholism in our communities, because of drug addiction and abuse in our communities, because of the effects of the white supremacist patriarchy, aka killing each other, hating each other, colorism, fighting amongst each other, eating shit food that they give us, eating cheap food, the sugar epidemic, okay, which is inflammatory. Those are my thoughts. I could go on, but it makes complete and perfect sense to me that any marginalized community, especially on a reservation that is probably a food desert, is going to be affected. It's just unfortunate but real. So then she says, I understand overall there's regeneration and growth with this crisis. I just feel like our indigenous nations shouldn't be hit as hard as they have been. Yeah, so in Chinese medicine, the lungs are connected to the emotion of grief. So I would imagine, and it's also something very interesting, as a mixed blood who understands my indigenous heritage but is not a full blood connected to a reservation. I've witnessed my privilege as like a post-colonial mixed breed with a politically minded upbringing in the UFW and Chicano civil rights movement. That my indigenousness and my practice of indigenous modalities, if you will, has come through the politicization of indigeneity through the civil rights movement. And my Chicana mother and my Chicano father and my farm worker grandfather, that has mobilized me toward completely and fully, as much as I can, as I work through my own colonization, reclaiming my indigeneity as in my customs, in my song, in my dance, in my practice with Creator, in my food choices where I can grow corn in Chile outside, right? Those are privileges. It's in my body. It is a privilege to practice my indigeneity, almost because I was mixed, and because my family is assimilated, and because my mom's like, fuck that, I'm not this, and moved back to indigeneity in the civil rights movement as a Chicana, right? So, reservations haven't had those same kind of privileges, in as much as the foods, the medicinal practices, even the ceremonial practices. I've only visited a few reservations here and there for ceremonies, but even in the like Chicano indigeneity I grew up in, there's so much miscommunication. Like people are doing visionary medicine ceremonies twice a week, twice a month, where like creation and our ancestors didn't used to do them that often, are eating Burger King, are eating whatever's cheap because that's what the industry fed us, literally is feeding us and telling us that we can't afford other things. It's super nuanced. But the deep grief on a reservation of being indigenous, but not being honored or able to honor your indigeneity because your fucking parents were ripped away from their parents and sent to boarding schools. There's so much I could talk about that, but if grief is the emotion of the lungs and COVID affects the lungs, the people with the most unresolved grief would also be most affected by a disease of the lungs. Plus inflammatory foods, plus hydrogenated oils, plus not good drinking water, plus straight up heart pain grief. There's so much. Same, just started visiting my ancestors this year. Sometimes for desert tribes, food deserts isn't the best term. Thank you. There is life and vitality in the desert and indigenous and ecological knowledge of the desert, but I know what you're trying to say. Thank you for correcting me, and I felt that when I said that. So yeah, there's just inability to get nutritious food in places. So the definition of a food desert, and I'm probably that's a colonial term as well, means that there's no fresh food in a 3-mile radius. Which might not necessarily be true, right? Like my grandpa had a bunch of nopalitos, which are cactus, which come from the desert. But part of the colonialization process was divorcing people from the ways of their lands. And often reservations, because the white man came and took all the plush, beautiful land with the rivers, with the big forestry, etc., and put peoples who were not native to places in the most desolate areas of our United States. So maybe the people aren't from there, so they don't understand how to be with the land, and maybe the peoples were, like in colonial cultures, systematically ripped away from their earth-based knowledge. And so they can't even live with the land because in their DNA exists the abuse and the physical violence at the hand of the oppressor that disallowed us from being in sacred communion with our land-based customs, if that made sense. Hi, David. What's up, beautiful brother? Long time. Yeah. So that's what I have to say about that. Any more questions? I should probably get off because I might be over and I'm supposed to have another call soon. All right. Many blessings, beautiful people. Thank you for watching. Share far and wide. Do your own research. Don't take anything I say as gospel because I ain't trying to do that. And remember, so we have to sum up, be okay to be in the beginner's seat. Be okay to be led by Black women at this time. Check your anti-Blackness. Check your inner quarreling. Keep asking yourself, where did this belief come from? Am I having issues with my indigenous erasure? Am I having anti-Black issues? Am I grieving for the collective? Be as present with yourself as possible. None of us are going to heal anybody outside of ourselves. We have to heal ourselves first and then work from a healed place in order to help heal the world. Okay, so check yourself deep first. Thank you, Shayla. Many blessings. I hope to meet you in person soon. Okay, pues, I hope y'all have a good day. And be the change. Be the change and shit. Ciao.